Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, I'm going to show you how to carve a working set of pliers. Now this is not a new project or a new idea by any means, and I did not think of this. This has been around in the carving world for many years, and it's one of those things that unless you really know how to do it, it's quite the feat of engineering. And it's a great way to make a quick little gift for someone who visits your shop and show them how fast you can do this. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. And it all starts off over at the bench with a little blank of basswood. Now, basswood is, in my opinion, one of the most popular woods for carving. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is it's extremely soft. It's a very soft wood. And it takes to carving very well. It doesn't take much effort to carve basswood. So for this project, I have a blank here that is 3/8 of an inch by 3/8 of an inch, and it is 3 inches long. A very small set of pliers, but a fun set nonetheless. You will also need some kind of carving knife. Now, I have these flex cut carving blades. I would not suggest using one of these simply because the blade, as good as it is quite thick, and therefore you're apt to split the basswood. You can use it for the initial rough out if you like, but when it comes to actually doing the cuts, you would be much better served by something like this, a much thinner blade, kind of like an X-Acto blade. And that's what this is. This is a carving knife, but it has replaceable X-Acto style blades. So this is what I will be using to make mine. Now the first thing that we need to do is just a little bit of layout on this, and it starts off with a center line. So on two opposite sides, we will place a center line from end to end on our blank, and that will be at 3/16 of an inch. So I will just place it here on one side, and then we'll flip it over and place that mark on the other side. Just like that, one there, and then on the opposite side, one there. The next thing that we want to do is on one of the sides here, we are going to measure down from the top at 1/2 inch. We'll just place a mark there, and we will measure down 1 inch. And then we will draw a 45-degree line from our 1/2 inch mark down to the right of our blank. And as well, from our 1 inch mark, and I better mark that across so I can see where it is a little better. There we go. From our 1 inch mark, we will place it from the outer edge at 1 inch, and we will mark it down to the center, just like that. We can now rotate this 90 degrees to the left, and where that 45-degree line there meets with the edge, we will extend that line across our blank. And now where the 45-degree line here meets up with our other side, we will place that mark there as well at 1 inch. And that will enable us to duplicate those 45-degree lines on the opposite side of our pliers. So if we turn this all the way around, we can place our square there, our tri-square, and we will mark that 45-degree angle. Just like that. That will duplicate the one on this side, and then we will do the same thing for the top one. So we will place this around the other side, line up our square with the line that we transferred, and draw our line to the center mark. Just like that. Can you see how we've got that there? Now, what we will do is we need to flip it over And we will divide this section here into 3 equal divisions. So that will be 1/8 of an inch each. So we will just place a line there at 1/8 of an inch, just like that. I'm going to extend that a little further. We'll flip it over and 1/8 of an inch in, just like that. And then we'll do that exact same thing on the opposite side, just like that. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to take off the top of our pliers here to give the pliers some shape. So I'm just going to sketch out here. You want to angle them in. This will be the nose of our pliers. And once you get them angled in like that, you can trim that section off. Now, this is where I would said that you could use the thicker blade for your rough out. All right, so get that nose carved up the way that you want it. I would not suggest bringing it to a point. I would leave it still very blunt at the nose. So I'm going to clamp this in place just lightly. It is basswood. You don't want to wreck it. And what we're going to do is on these center lines here, you need to place your knife right in there in line with those lines, keeping it straight, and we will drive it right through our blank. And basswood is soft enough that you will be able to do that. So we'll just wiggle it in there, just like that. And you're kind of trying to go down to match or mimic these 45-degree lines that you made here. So very carefully now, you will continue to cut through the blank to get those through cuts made. Don't put too much pressure. You don't want the blade to slip and end up in your finger. Also, guys, don't try to do it all in one shot. Take your time, several passes, and you should be just fine. There we go. You can see that I've got my blade through there, and it's good to know that my blade is running straight because I exited right on that pencil line. So we're doing good. So again, we'll just carefully cut down. And you can see there I've got the blade on the 45 lined up with that cut. And that one there is done, I believe. Now you want to do the exact same thing at that second line that you made. So again, insert your blade, being very careful here. I know I said I was going to clamp it, but you know what, the clamp was getting in my way. Okay, so we're almost through there. So I'm just going to very carefully wiggle my blade until it pierces the opposite side. There it is. It just came out there now. And we'll just carefully cut down through. Down to the line and then angle it on a 45. Pull out our knife and we will turn it around and make sure that our other side is cut deep enough as well. All right, just like that. So now we'll very carefully pull out our knife. And that now is the first step completed. So now the next cut to make will be our 45-degree cuts. And for that, we're going to line up our blade with that 45-degree mark, and we will cut down through. We're only cutting 1/3 of the way through. So until we meet that line at 1/8 of an inch. Once we get to that line, we can stop. A little more to go there. Okay, so there's one. And you want to do that with all 4 of your 45-degree lines. Now this is where it might get a bit confusing. So what I've done is taken the top of this 45 right here and transferred it over here. As well, I've taken the bottom of this 45 and transferred it over to this side. And what you want to do in the center section now, we want to make kind of a plunging cut on a 45-degree angle right at that line opposite to what those angles are. The object is to come in and line up or meet up with these cuts that you've made here on our blank. So we'll just place our knife here on roughly a 45 and we'll start to work it in towards our previous 45-degree cuts. Now if you're not sure how far in you are, you can just hold your finger there on the blade, wiggle your piece out, and you can see how far you've penetrated. We're pretty much there. So this is kind of a tricky part, so just take your time. Okay, and now on the opposite side, that line there that lines up with the top of the 45, we're going to go the opposite direction down towards the handle, and we have the same goal in mind. We want to line it up and hopefully meet up with the previous lines that we cut. You want to be a little careful here. Let's check our depth. Pretty good there, actually. Now we can fine-tune that afterwards if need be. But for now, I think I'm going to leave it just until we know what's going on. And now at this point, we can turn it over and we are going to separate our pieces. So along that center line, starting at the top of this 145, we are going to carefully cut along that line, and we will work all the way down until we get through our piece. And I think I'll start from the other side and work towards that cut. All right, I think we're separated, and now we'll separate our handles in the same way. Starting at the bottom of that 45-degree cut, we're going to drag our knife all the way along to the bottom of our pliers. And once we get part way through, we can flip it over and do the same thing on the opposite side and hopefully meet in the middle. And we are through. And if you did everything right, we've still got something binding there. So I'm just going to take my knife and make sure that the handle is properly separated. There we go, yeah. And do the same thing with the nose of the pliers. And something here has not let go. So we're going to work all of our joints until we get it to release. Now you want to be careful here. I was a little too forceful and it looks like I've broken my handle, and I have. That's a shame. That's unfortunate. But that's okay. It's still good practice. Not every one of these works. And there we go. I just managed to get them to release, but unfortunately, like I said, because I was a little too rough with it, I ended up breaking my piece. So what I'm going to do is off camera, I'm going to do a new one of these where I don't have the pressures of the camera here, and I'll show you what you end up with. And I'll see you when I get that done. All right, and there you go. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? And there you go, guys. That is how to carve working pliers. Just don't do it like this. And there you have it. Hand-carved working pliers. Guys, this is a lot of fun. It is a very quick project. It's a very fun project. It's also a skill builder. I don't want you guys to try this and get frustrated, because there's no sense in getting frustrated. You really need to take your time. As you saw on today's show, I had to make 2 pairs today to get 1 working pair that didn't break. Now the first one was my own fault, a little too forceful. Basswood is soft. Basswood is not something that likes to be plied. And I just decided to force it a little too hard and snapped it. If your pliers will not open, take your time, get in there, and chances are it's in your 45-degree cuts, the ones that mate together at the top to allow it to open. Chances are they haven't released the wood yet. That's what happened with my other one, and that's why I broke the handle. It's a very fragile piece, but it's a very cool little thing. You can very easily in an afternoon whip off a dozen of these and give them away to your friends as little gifts. They're a quick little easy project and they're fun. Guys, I will point out, because it's so small, however, and the knife is so sharp, the possibility of getting a cut is very, very likely. So do what you can not to cut towards yourself, but at some point in time you may have to pull the blade, draw it along towards your thumb or what have you. Just be careful. Like I said, it's better to make multiple passes, and that way you're not putting as much pressure. Should the blade slip and go into your finger, it's not going to do as much damage than if you were trying to, bull your way through it in one pass, putting a lot of pressure. You're going to do some damage. But either way, just a fun project, and I hope you're going to give it a try. Now guys, I know that this may be a little confusing. It's very hard to describe how to lay this out. It's very hard to describe how to cut it. But I think what I might do is I might try to put together a layout drawing. Look for that on the website, guys. You can find it at acutabovewoodworkings.com. In the free pattern section, you'll find it right there. You'll find a picture of the finished product. You'll find the accompanying video that goes with it, as well as the pattern for free download. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. You click the bell and then you won't miss the notifications of future episodes of the show. I hope you've enjoyed the show today, guys. I hope you're going to try it for yourself. And more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.